Are we recording? Yes, we are recording. Hello again, Miss Hankins. Thank you for joining me this evening to record the video for my class at Arkansas State, where I am a candidate in the Master of Science in Education program. Thank you for joining me.
You're so welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay, so we kind of got a feel for how these go because this is now our technically our third video that we've recorded, but it's the first one for Peter. So you observed me and my teaching my lesson to Peter. So that lesson, the first one was the one on syllables, where we covered the prefix, the suffix, and roots as well, trying to build out syllables. I would first start by saying that I picked this particular skill because when I did the initial, like, informal assessment that we had to design for Peter, he missed every single question that I had on syllables. Even after I stopped, because it was about maybe 5 or 6 questions that addressed this particular phonetic skill. I even tried to clap with him to go through the syllables. None of the words had over 3 syllables, but he kind of missed them. And so what he thought I was asking him to do was to count the number of words in the sentences. So when I was saying count the number of syllables in the bold word, he just missed that altogether. And so like the sentence had 5 words, he would say that the answer was 5. If the sentence had 7 words, he would say that, you know, the number of syllables was 7. So he confused syllables within one word with words within a sentence. So that was one reason why I definitely wanted to address that particular skill with him. Just because I noticed that he really like totally missed that skill altogether. He didn't get any of the questions right on the informal assessment that we did early on.
Okay, so all the things that you said, I saw, I of course observed all of those things, you know, his frustration in the moments when, you know, he thought giving your instructions, you went over exactly what you wanted him to do. And even, you know, once he got started, he still, you know, struggled within the activity. I thought you did a good job with the pace of the lesson. The instructional time, you know, it could have it looked a little muddy because of his frustration level and all the stop times during that. However, of course, with these scholars, you know, we have to adjust. We know that he is easily distracted, and of course, once he feels defeated, we know that he will shut down. So I thought, you know, you already had the supports in place within the lesson to address the behaviors that were going to show up, that we all knew were going to show up. So this one can be a tricky question. Do you feel that you successfully achieved your lesson objectives?
I would say I feel like the objective was made clear to the student, you know, because I had him to repeat and I had him to, you know, kind of state what it is that we were going to do before we began, as well as, you know, I kind of went back and was like, do you remember when we met before? And I asked you those particular questions. You know, this is what I needed you to do, but this is what you actually did. So I thought that I tried to go back and kind of make a connection for him from when he, missed it initially. But I would say in that regard, I think that part of it was successful, but just him and like actually mastering this particular skill, I would say no. Um, I think this is a struggle for him. It may continue to be a struggle, and I think that it is a skill that will probably have to be that we would have to revisit
Mm-hmm.
more, just simply because it, it's difficult for him, and when he doesn't make the connection between the syllable in one word versus the sentences, that's what he kept going back to that, going back to that. Okay, can you repeat that for me, Miss Hankins?
So with your assessment, me asking, did you feel like you mastered or you were successful in achieving the lesson objective? Of course, refer back to the assessment as to what you want him to ultimately, master and learn with the syllables, the prefix, suffix, and the root words. So use that to drive your thinking, the data that you need to collect to determine your success on within the lesson. What do you feel worked well, and what would you change moving forward?
Well, because he, how can I say it? I know that he still operates at a level that's lower than like his same age peers, but because of the, the functional skill setting, everything is kind of designed, for each individual student. um I would say that I think I did well in pushing him, you know even through the frustration level, because
Mm-hmm. I
um
agree.
it's time now. He does so well with the things that he does well on, so
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it is time to try to push to the next level, because I don't want his learning to become stagnant and just, oh yeah, he can do that by himself. So we just give him,
And
independent,
running in the ground.
independently, and then you turn your attention to focus to someone else who may seem to be struggling on skills that he is not. So I think I did well in just um, pushing the buttons just a little bit and trying to push this particular skill for him, because I saw that he didn't do well. He did not do as well as I hoped. So I would say that in knowing that this is an area that there's going to be some resistance with him, um, I tried to go, one syllable, two syllables, three syllables, four syllables, and try to build there. I'd maybe, if I was going to reteach this, I scale it back and only do 1 to 2 syllables first and make the whole
Mm-hmm.
lesson right there. And then kind of build from 1 to 2, and then incorporate 3 in another lesson where I'm still kind of going over the 1 and 2, and then incorporating 3. If he does, fairly well with 3, then maybe another lesson where I now add words with 4 syllables. But just thinking about his present level of academic functioning, going up to about 4 syllables is a longer word. So we may not necessarily get past that, just simply because then we would be, beyond the frustration level. He may not just be capable of, getting to a word that long or that difficult to pronounce. So maybe just, pushing and making the goal to from 1 to 2, maybe to 3, possibly 4. But if we don't make it to 4, being okay with just getting to about 3 syllables.
I agree. And I'll add on to the fact, I thought that, you continuing to make adjustments throughout the lesson for him was, a huge plus. And as you said, it helped with his frustration level, not to get to an extreme level. Of course, it's already a challenge in the virtual space, and an additional challenge with the behavior, issues that we already know are there. So, again, I'll just add that I thought that also went well. Following your rubric, as I've said, your support with him throughout was really good, despite what was going on in the lesson, and it seemed like it was just kind of at a pause. I agree that making the adjustment of scaling it back would be a good move for your next steps moving forward. So for this observation, I think you have already thought about what adjustments need to be made, your insights as to even his behaviors, thinking ahead for that, you've already made those adjustments. So it kind of is like a up, stop, let's roll it back and start over, but sometimes we have to do that. And knowing that, recognizing that that needs to be done is a plus. It's no need in just keep trying to push him, and he's not ready for that yet. So I totally agree with the things that you said, and I observed the same things. I would do this exact same thing.
Okay. I guess the only other thing that I would say is um, being able to work with them one-on-one has been, I can see the benefits of that because,
Oh
I'm,
yeah.
pulling them and kind of doing this with just me and them for the sake of the class. Um, but I would say that in my thinking before starting, I thought that would be easy. Like, yeah, it's just me. It's gonna be me, the one student, and I'll be able to give them like all of my attention. And um, but I'm finding that um only working with them like one on one is okay, but I wouldn't want it to be that way all the time. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
being able to say, turn and talk to your partner, or okay,
Right.
three of you in a group, and kind of having that group collaboration where one person kind of pushes the other person. So it's, I would say, like, everything has its advantages and disadvantages, and I think being able to partner with someone your same age, your peers, a lot of times for whatever the reason, they don't always necessarily understand it the way that we try to explain it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Seeing their friends say the same thing and they'd be like, oh, I get it now. And so working one on one and not necessarily having a peer group or a peer partner that he could turn to. In this
Yeah.
case, I think that would be something that would maybe be beneficial for him, just
I
because
agree.
we did it during the informal assessment, and now we've done it in the lesson, and it's still a struggle. It would be something I would say he probably needs, a peer group or a peer partner, and maybe the friends could say it in such a way um, that he may be able to grasp this particular skill that he seems to be, having such a difficult time with.
I agree. I totally agree. Okay. Well, I look forward to your next observation. I put a few notes on the rubric, some things to work on, especially for the active engagement for him,
Okay.
to kind of push him to pay more attention to the activity than to get stuck on what didn't go well.
Yeah, yeah, because he does he asks a lot of questions in the moment, like, almost out after every single one. Did I get that right? Did I get that right? Did I get that right? And so, like, if you say, no, you didn't get that one right, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
you can see. So,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned with working with him that it's like, let's just finish. Let's get through all of them, and then we'll go back to whether or not
Right.
something was right or something was wrong. Because if you give it to him right then and he didn't get it right, you don't want to lie, but if he didn't get it right, you can see him kind of shut down. Whereas if he gets it right, it helps, but it also prolongs the lesson.
I agree.
Yep, it prolongs the lesson. All right. Well, thank you very much. I will see you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.